Hello. Welcome. Nice to see you. Silence is so important. It's opening to oneness. It includes everything and everybody, which means you're going to feel a lot. And you're going to be very touched in an intimate way by what you're opening up to. And I think it's one of the reasons why we have learned to protect ourselves, kind of as a coping strategy from that kind of availability. Because it can feel overwhelming if our nervous system is not ready for it. Right? So that's why it's important to first take care of your own nervous system and learn how to open to what is within you, what you contain. And then when you have space to include another or others, then that's what happens. It starts moving outward. Make sense? So we don't need to force it before we're ready to. At the same time, we don't want to be ninnies and hold back, from feeling. It's kind of a nice fine line. I mean, that's what the self-center is. Having a self-center. It is what's learned, and it helps create boundaries too. But it's also a coping strategy. And identity can start to become strategies to feel oriented, boundaried, but also a way of protecting ourselves from other. So when we start to get healthier inside, those kind of strategies, they start to relax. And kind of like concentric circles in a pond. When a rock falls in, we expand. And we are able to include more. More of what lies outside of our own sphere. And start taking in things that are surrounding us. And really taking them in. And feeling them. And sensing. And it can be kind of scary at first. It's good to open up just to the point where you feel stretched, and then see if you can relax and include. You don't need to go further than that in the moment. And just feel your way into what it is that you're stretching into. And you're learning more about yourself and your environment. Growing, expanding beyond what you know. And if you feel yourself retracting, just acknowledge that. And be kind to yourself. It means that you've grown to a point that is needing to be digested. That it's needing inclusion and maybe some breath. This is very often overlooked. I'm not sure if you're able to follow. I hope you are. Good. And so this is a way that you can be with yourself during the course of this day. Is whenever you feel like it, you can check in with yourself and see what's going on. And if there's something you can lean into and expand into in yourself or in the environment. Are you being honest and true to yourself about what you're willing to do and your capacity to include yourself and others? And if you feel resistance, just explore that. It's not a bad thing. There's information there for you if you feel resistance. So listen to that and see it as a growth edge, not to overcome and storm the gates, make it wrong, but more like an invitation. Resistance is inviting you to look more deeply and feel what's going on. It doesn't have to be conceptual, like you understand what's going on with your mind, but you can sense into the uncomfortableness. And realize that uncomfortableness is information for you. That has information. See, and it's the healthy part of you and the part of you that is opening that is able to do this. That has extra room to lean into an aspect of yourself that is still unknown. So your vulnerability is a healthy thing. And one way to be able to really pay attention to and bring attention to like the freedom that we contain is this, that when you're opening up to a part of you that feels vulnerable, tender, uncomfortable, resistant, whatever it is, retracted, whatever it is inside. And you bring awareness to that which is noticing that. There's something inside that knows and sees that you're feeling tender, that you're feeling vulnerable, whatever it is. Even joy, okay? Doesn't have to be the emotions that we tend to say are difficult. There's something that is aware of that experience. So just sit with that for a moment. So whatever's going on right now in you, and it'll be unique to you right now. So you've let yourself lean into it first. So you sense it. Okay. And then just see if you can also notice at the same time, while you're letting yourself feel or experience whatever it's arising inside, that there's something that's aware of that. Right? There's an awareness at the same time, otherwise you wouldn't know it. So then you have like two things going on. You have this experiential arising, happening. While there's an awareness of it arising. And the awareness doesn't have to be of the mind. It can be the whole body-mind. Body-mind, sensing, feeling. See, sensing has its own awareness. It's not just the mind that looks at something and goes, that's happening. Sensing into something has its own awareness that it's happening. This is a very important and powerful thing to learn. Is how to be with yourself. And then while you learn how to be with yourself in this way, you can start to begin to see that it's okay. That whatever you're feeling and opening to, it might have a lot of texture to it and nuance and might feel a little scary sometimes. But it's okay. because it's you that you're opening to. And if you ever start to feel a little bit overwhelmed by what you're experiencing, because it can be very strong at times, you can take care of yourself and lean a little more into the fact that you're aware of what you're feeling. That's kind of like a bit of the safe zone. So you can lean over into and take a breath, and there's awareness here of that sensation, of that experience, of this moment that is so alive, this moment that is your life. And it's okay. It's okay to take some space. Because we're made of both. We're made of that empty space. And we're made of the space that's filled up with form. All right? We're made of both. And how to live this life is a dance between the both. Be in as much harmony as possible. So, of course, what I'm talking about is deeper than concept and labeling. Right? Labeling a feeling. Like, oh, there's sadness here, so that's a label. So it would be deeper. It would be going into the felt sensation of it, right? Like I like to say, the vibrational quality of the sensation. It's all made of vibration. And so when you feel like you've had enough of that, you can always do something different and look away. But this is your own inner language and you that you're becoming familiar with. And it's your life. So I highly recommend becoming familiar with yourself. And the more familiar you become, and the more comfortable, then you start to have some space inside to include others and the world that is seemingly outside of you. It's like, I think now I can actually take in some other experiences and not feel overwhelmed. And sometimes a nice balancing of emptiness will want to come in and just sit with you for a while. And it's a way to bring balance. It knows what it's doing. It's not like, transcendence is happening here and spiritual bypassing and all that stuff that we've become familiar with, or some of us have with terminology. It's okay when it comes. It's welcomed. So take a nice break and rest in your formless being for a while. Take a little vacation. It knows what it's doing. Maybe the pond is becoming more and more still as a result. Doesn't always have to be rippling and calling attention. It would be, that's not all, it wouldn't be fair to the system to constantly be in process. And leaning too far over into the human experience all the time, it's easy to get swallowed up there. Right? There's a way to be with it, which we just went through together. There's a way to be with it and honor, and because it is your life, it is just as valuable and beautiful as the emptiness that you are. But if it's not in balance, then it just takes over. And we need respite. So filling into the space together, to whatever degree you feel comfortable. In yourself, there's a space that's also alive. And it's free of content. It is just at rest. And it enjoys its own beingness, inherent beingness. And it's so much room. There's so much space there. It's like the actual space out where all the stars are. And the planets are here and there, and the stars are here and there, and there's all this yummy black space in between. And the mind and body can just settle to the bottom of the sea and just rest there. While all this space is acknowledged and enjoyed, the space that you are and that you contain. And the sounds, they come and go from within the space. And your body is held within the space. And every body in here. All the thoughts and feelings. There's so much space for all of it to rest. Even the separate self-sense that's going to be there, there's space for that. It's not a problem. There's space for all the feelings and issues and all that. It's just can just rest. But if you put your attention on the space, that's what you get. So as you can see, we just have done an exercise of putting attention on felt sensation and then putting attention on space. And you get wherever you put your attention, right? That's where you go. And the space doesn't have a problem with whatever is living in it. It really doesn't. There's plenty of room. So why don't we just right now move from having the space be just kind of a neutral thing to maybe start feeling the space from a place of your heart and love. You don't want to force it. Just kind of put your attention on your chest area. And start to feel, how does your heart feel about the space? And how does your heart feel about your body? You can just kind of experiment. How does your heart feel about whatever's here, what you're feeling? No forcing. It's just more like a curiosity. How does my heart feel about, and then fill in the blank, whatever's arising, whatever's true for you to look at. That sound, whatever. How does the heart feel? And if it feels a little tender, if there's some tenderness, like, how does the heart feel about that? It's a good place to come to after exploring these different ends of spectrum of inner experience and the space that we are. It's a nice place to come to. It's like right in the middle. It helps bring balance. How does your heart feel about this moment? And let's take a few breaths in and out of the heart area. Just breathe in. Imagine that you have like your nose is right here in your chest. You breathe in, and when you're ready, you gently breathe out. And let everything go. And then when you're ready to breathe in, and breathe out. Releasing. Let's do it again. Breathe in. And breathe out. And you can continue if you like for a little longer on your own, at your own pace. Yeah, the heart is the great reconciler. It reconciles opposites. It helps digest your experience, whatever you're experiencing. It's it's kind of like if there was a seesaw, it's what's in the middle of the seesaw. And it's the greatest, it has the greatest capacity of digesting whatever is arising than anything else in our system. And how does it do that? It does it with unconditional love. So I had no idea this is what would happen today. But this is like the full, in essence, it's kind of like a full teaching. How to be human and enter into your experience, your inner experience. How to honor that and be with it. And how to bring balance by remembering that we're the formless and the emptiness, which they've proven scientifically, right? That everything's made of nothing, essentially. And then the heart is the place where we meet with everything. So it's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot. But we have the capacity to meet these challenges and to rise to include all that we are and to live as that. In the moment. Not as some future thing or some hope, but in the moment we're asked to open to this. And then it's for you to feel into what is true for you in the moment, like to really listen and check in what's going on and find your own way of bringing harmony and balance inside. Like, are you leaning too far over into content and getting swallowed up there, forgetting the freedom part? Right? Which is what brings most of us to spirituality, is that we're wanting to be reminded of the freedom part. But the thing is that maybe we're getting swallowed up by the content, but not in a conscious way. It's not conscious. It's unconscious to itself for the most part, because we haven't been taught. How to honor the inner experience and be with it. And so we get drawn to spirituality, the kinds that are all about transcendence and freeing up that, because we're overwhelmed. We want to lean into spirit. Makes sense, right? I understand it. I did too. Then we forget that, there's a lot more to this life than just wanting to escape